Hello everyone, and welcome to my CBS YNR Full Today channel. Please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Have you ever looked at Jack Abbott and wondered when the mask was finally going to slip? For years, he's been the town's golden boy, the ethical businessman, and the perfect husband, but something feels different this time. Was this really just a simple mistake, or have we just seen the moment Jack officially became the most dangerous predator in Genoa City? It's a heavy question, isn't it? But when you look at the evidence, it's hard to ignore that the man we thought we knew might be a total stranger. The town has been rocked by a scandal that started right at the Abbott mansion, and it's a total mess. We've seen Jack play the hero for so long, but now the curtain is being pulled back by a woman that everyone usually treats as a joke, Patty Williams. This isn't just your typical soap opera twist where someone gets caught in a lie. No. This is a master class in what happens when you treat people like trash and expect them to just take it. Jack genuinely thought he could bring a woman with a history of mental health struggles into his world, use her to hit Victor Newman where it hurts, and then just throw her away. Why did he think he could get away with that? Honestly, I think Jack's ego has gotten so big that he thinks he can actually control people's lives like they're pieces on a board. He didn't see Patty as a human being. He saw her as a disposable pawn. In my opinion, it's the ultimate irony because the man who talks about integrity is now exposed as a guy who preys on the vulnerable just to win a petty fight with Victor. It's a massive failure of judgment, and it proves that even the good guys can be monsters when their pride is on the line. Think about what Patty did. She didn't just snap and go back to her old ways. She actually got smart. Instead of hiding or planning some chaotic kidnapping, she went straight to the news. This was a genius move. Why? Because in a town like Genoa City, the rich can cover up almost anything, but they can't cover up what the whole world sees on TV. She was triggered because Jack used her to mess with Victor and Nikki's marriage, and then he just dumped her. When he backed out of their deal, she didn't get crazy, she got even. Don't you think she's finally reclaiming her voice? For years, people used her mental health to keep her quiet, but now she's the one talking. She isn't just looking for Jack's love anymore, she's looking to burn his whole world down. If you really look at it, Patty isn't the villain here. She's the mirror showing Jack who he really is. I'll say it straight, Jack deserves this. You can't use someone's mental health as a weapon and then act shocked when they use those same weapons against you. Jack thought he was the smartest guy in the room, but he forgot that the person who has nothing left to lose is the most dangerous person you can ever face. Psychologically, Jack is dealing with some major hubris. He really believed he could start a war and keep his hands clean. Patty, on the other hand, is using her trauma as a shield. She's finally in control. But it's not just about Patty. The secrets she's threatening to spill involve Nikki Newman, too. Jack has been feeding Nikki this amped-up version of what Victor did. He told her Victor drugged him and really leaned into the scary details to make Victor look like a monster. Why? Because Jack wants Nikki to leave Victor forever. He's using her history with addiction as a tool, making her feel like Victor doesn't care about her health. Nikki is in a total crisis right now. She feels like a slap from Victor is the same as a betrayal of her entire recovery. Jack is positioning himself as her savior by offering to be a sponsor for Nick. It's a classic move to make her dependent on him. Think of Jack as a vulture circling a failing marriage. He's not helping Nikki because he's a good friend, he's doing it because a Nikki who hates Victor is a win for the Abbotts. It is deeply unethical for Jack to offer help while lying to Nikki's face. He's playing a dangerous game with people's lives just to satisfy his own bitterness. Jack's need for control is showing up as a hero complex. By being the one to save the Newmans, he makes himself feel morally superior, even though he's lying to get there. It's just a defense mechanism because he's always felt insecure compared to Victor. Then there's the whole thing with Matt Clark. Patty has made an alliance with him, and it's honestly terrifying. She sees Matt as a kindred spirit, someone else the Newmans threw away. She's using his memory loss to point him at a specific target, Nikki. Patty thinks Nikki is a threat to her future with Jack. While she wants Diane around because Diane keeps Jack at a distance, she hates that Nikki provides him with comfort. Patty is filled with a jealous rage that she's hiding behind this partnership with Matt. This isn't just a media scandal anymore, it's a physical threat. Patty might actually be recruiting a hitman to get rid of Nikki. This turns a business drama into a scary thriller. I totally disagree with her bringing Matt into a murder plot, but you have to admit, it's soap opera gold. It's the ultimate woman scorned story. If Jack thinks an interview is bad, just wait until he has to deal with a killer on the loose because of his games. Patty is going through something psychologists call transference. She's taking all her hatred for Jack's rejection and putting it on Nikki. She thinks if she removes Nikki, she can finally have the spot in Jack's heart she's been obsessed with for years. While all this is happening, the people around them are getting hurt. Diane Jenkins has vanished after leaving a tearful voicemail for Jack. She thinks Jack rejected her because he never called her back, but the truth is, he probably never even got the message. Kyle is spiraling into a protective rage over his mom being missing. He even pinned Patty against a wall to get answers. Kyle is feeling so much guilt and confusion. He's trying to be a hero, but he's doing it by being toxic, just like his dad. The Abbott family isn't being attacked from the outside, they're blowing up from the inside. Jack's secret grenade didn't just hit Nikki, it destroyed his own son's morals and his wife's trust. Diane is probably sitting in a dark room somewhere, seeing Patty's interview and realizing her husband is the real manipulator. She isn't just hiding, she's grieving the man she thought Jack was. Kyle's attack on Patty is bad, but it shows how much Jack has messed up the next generation. It's sad to see a son realize his father is the bad guy. Diane is going through reactive withdrawal. Finding out Jack is the true puppet master has shattered her world. She isn't just a weeping wife anymore, she's going to come back ready for war. The tension is at a total boiling point. Patty's receipts are already going around town. Shareholders at Jabot are panicking, and the board is talking about firing Jack. Jack is just sitting in his office, watching his father's legacy crumble because he couldn't stop playing games. But it gets even worse. Victor is just watching, and he's loving it. He sees Patty as the gift that keeps on giving. He's happy to let her destroy Jack while he waits to take over Jabot. And don't forget Nick Newman. All this stress pushed him over the edge, and he just collapsed in front of his family. It looks like another overdose. This isn't going to end with an apology. I'm predicting a massive fallout. Diane will come out of hiding, but she won't be looking for a hug. She's going to use Patty's interview to start a brutal, public divorce. She might even try to take control of Jabot as payment for what Jack did to her. The Jabot board will definitely fire Jack. He's going to be totally alone because he's even pushed Kyle away. And the situation with Matt Clark? That's going to lead to a fight with Nikki. Jack might have to choose between saving Nikki or the monster he created in Patty. Ironically, the health crises for Nick and Nikki might be the only thing that brings Nikki back to Victor. Victor will play the family man role, which makes Jack look even worse for abandoning his family for a grudge. So, I have to ask you, who do you think is the real villain here? Is it Patty for burning everything down, or is it Jack for building everything on lies? And do you think Diane should take Jack for every penny he's worth, or is there still hope for them? Let's talk about it in the comments. If you love these deep dives into the drama in Genoa City, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. We're watching every episode so you don't have to miss a single thing. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Have you ever watched a man spend years building the image of a hero, only to realize that every smile, every speech about integrity, and every promise of loyalty may have been nothing more than a carefully crafted illusion? That is exactly the terrifying realization spreading across Genoa City right now as the scandal surrounding the young and the restless explodes into something far darker than anyone expected. For decades, Jack Abbott stood as the polished prince of the Abbott family, the the sophisticated businessman who always seemed to rise above the chaos that consumed everyone else. He was the man who condemned Victor Newman for playing dirty while pretending his own hands were spotless. But now, with Patty Williams dragging his secrets into the light, the entire town is being forced to ask a horrifying question: was Jack ever truly the good guy, or was he simply better at hiding the monster underneath? The situation unfolding inside the Abbott mansion feels less like a romantic soap opera scandal and more like the collapse of an empire built entirely on manipulation, pride, and emotional exploitation. What makes this story so chilling is that it did not begin with some random misunderstanding or accidental betrayal. No, this disaster was created step by Jack's own arrogance. He believed he could control vulnerable people like chess pieces. He believed he could weaponize Patty Williams' emotional instability to strike at Victor Newman and Nikki Newman, then quietly toss Patty aside once she had served her purpose. That kind of behavior reveals something deeply disturbing about Jack's psychology because it shows a man who genuinely believed he was untouchable. In Jack's mind, Patty was not a real person with pain, trauma, or emotions. She was simply a tool. A disposable pawn. And honestly, that may be the cruelest thing Jack Abbott has ever done. People in Genoa City have spent years mocking Patty, dismissing her, and reducing her entire identity to her mental health struggles, but for once Patty refused to play the role everyone assigned to her. Instead of reacting with blind chaos, she made a calculated decision that completely changed the power dynamic. She went public. She took her story to the media. That single move shattered Jack's illusion of control because rich families in Genoa City can bury secrets, intimidate witnesses, and manipulate private conversations, but they cannot erase a televised scandal once the public starts paying attention. Patty understood something Jack forgot: exposure is the one weapon powerful men fear most. Suddenly the man who spent years protecting the Abbott reputation is watching that reputation collapse in real time. And the irony is absolutely brutal. The same Jack Abbott who constantly preached about morality is now accused of emotionally using a vulnerable woman to sabotage Victor and Nikki's marriage. That hypocrisy is what makes the story hit so hard. It forces everyone around him to confront the possibility that Jack's moral superiority was never real. Maybe it was just another strategy in his endless war against Victor Newman. Patty's actions are fascinating because she is no longer acting like someone desperate for Jack's love. She is acting like someone determined to expose the truth at any cost. That is a huge psychological transformation. For years, Patty was portrayed as unstable, emotional, and dangerous, but now she appears focused, strategic, and terrifyingly self-aware. She knows Jack used her. She knows he discarded her. And now she wants him to feel the humiliation and helplessness she experienced. In many ways, Patty has become a mirror reflecting Jack's ugliest qualities back at him. Every lie, every manipulation, every selfish decision is finally being dragged into the open. The tragedy is that Jack never imagined Patty would evolve into someone capable of beating him at his own game. He underestimated her because his ego convinced him he was smarter than everyone else in the room. That kind of hubris always destroys soap opera characters eventually, and now Jack may be facing the consequences of his own superiority complex. Meanwhile, the emotional fallout surrounding Nikki Newman adds another devastating layer to the situation. Jack has positioned himself as Nikki's protector, but the deeper viewers look into his behavior, the more manipulative it appears. He has been feeding Nikki an exaggerated and terrifying version of Victor's actions, emphasizing every frightening detail about Victor drugging him in order to make Victor look irredeemable. On the surface, Jack appears concerned about Nikki's recovery and emotional well-being, but underneath that concern lies something much uglier: opportunism. Jack knows Nikki's history with addiction makes her emotionally vulnerable. He knows she fears betrayal and instability. By presenting himself as the safe, understanding alternative to Victor, Jack gains influence over her at the exact moment her marriage is crumbling. That is not friendship. That is emotional positioning. It is the behavior of a man who sees another family's suffering as an opportunity to win a personal war. Jack wants Nikki to depend on him because every crack in Victor and Nikki's marriage feels like a victory for the Abbott side of the rivalry. What makes this especially disturbing is how carefully Jack wraps his manipulation inside the language of compassion. He offers support. He talks about healing. He frames himself as a stabilizing force while quietly encouraging Nikki's distrust of Victor. Psychologically, this reflects a classic hero complex. Jack desperately wants to see himself as the rescuer, the moral center, the man who saves everyone else from their mistakes. But in reality, his need to feel superior may be causing even more damage than Victor's ruthless behavior ever did. Victor at least admits he is willing to play dirty. Jack pretends he is above it while engaging in manipulation behind closed doors. That contradiction is exactly why Patty's accusations feel so explosive. She is not simply exposing one bad decision. She is exposing an entire pattern of hypocrisy that may define who Jack Abbott truly is. And just when the scandal already feels impossible to contain, the situation becomes even darker with the involvement of Matt Clark. Patty forming an alliance with Matt transforms this storyline from emotional revenge into something dangerously physical. Patty sees Matt as someone who understands her pain because he too was discarded and damaged by the powerful families of Genoa City. Their partnership is fueled by shared resentment, emotional instability, and a desperate desire for revenge against the people they believe destroyed their lives. Patty's obsession with Nikki becomes increasingly alarming because Nikki represents everything Patty cannot have. Nikki is the woman who continues to receive Jack's emotional attention and sympathy. In Patty's mind, removing Nikki means removing the obstacle standing between herself and the future she imagined with Jack. That is where the story crosses into terrifying territory. Patty is no longer just exposing secrets. She may be actively steering Matt toward violence. The psychological concept of transference becomes incredibly important here because Patty is redirecting all her pain over Jack's rejection onto Nikki. Instead of confronting Jack directly, she focuses her rage on the woman she views as competition. It is irrational, dangerous, and emotionally explosive, which is exactly why the storyline feels so compelling. At the same time, the emotional destruction inside the Abbott family may ultimately become the real tragedy of this entire disaster. Diane Jenkins disappearing after leaving that heartbreaking voicemail for Jack changes everything because it suggests the scandal has shattered her trust completely. Diane spent years fighting for acceptance within the Abbott family, trying to prove she had changed, trying to build a stable life with Jack. Now she is being forced to confront the possibility that the man she trusted may have manipulated everyone around him all along. Her disappearance feels less like a dramatic stunt and more like emotional collapse. She is grieving the image of the man she thought she married. That kind of betrayal changes people permanently. And then there is Kyle Abbott, whose rage toward Patty reveals how deeply toxic the entire situation has become. Kyle pinning Patty against the wall in desperation mirrors the same aggressive need for control that Jack himself displays. That parallel is devastating because it suggests Jack's behavior has already poisoned the next generation. Kyle wants to protect his family, but he is doing it through intimidation and emotional volatility, proving he may be inheriting more from his father than he realizes. The Abbott family is not simply under attack from outside enemies. They are imploding internally because Jack's lies have infected every relationship around him. Diane's eventual return could become one of the most explosive moments in the storyline because she will not return as a forgiving wife searching for reconciliation. She will return as a woman who feels humiliated, manipulated, and betrayed. There is a very real possibility that Diane uses Patty's revelations as leverage in a brutal public divorce battle that destroys Jack financially and socially. Imagine the humiliation for Jack Abbott, losing his wife, alienating his son, damaging his father's company, and watching Victor Newman enjoy every second of his downfall. Speaking of Victor, his role in this situation is fascinating because he barely needs to do anything. Victor understands that Jack is destroying himself. Patty has become exactly what Victor loves most in business warfare, an enemy doing his work for him. Victor can sit back, observe the chaos, and wait for Jabot to weaken under the pressure of public scandal and shareholder panic. That may be the cruelest twist of all. Jack's obsession with beating Victor may end with Victor winning effortlessly while Jack tears apart his own family from the inside. The pressure surrounding Jabot is already becoming unbearable as board members panic over Patty's accusations and fear long-term damage to the company's reputation. Jack is watching his father's legacy crumble because he could not resist manipulating people for personal revenge. The emotional stress spreading across the Newman family only adds to the sense that the entire city is reaching a breaking point. Nick Newman collapsing from apparent overdose symptoms proves how destructive this chaos has become for everyone involved. These are no longer isolated scandals. They are interconnected emotional explosions ripping through every major family in Genoa City. And perhaps the most ironic outcome is that Jack's actions may ultimately push Nikki back toward Victor. Faced with family crisis, health scares, and emotional devastation, Nikki may rediscover stability in Victor's role as protector and family patriarch. That would leave Jack completely isolated.